In a remarkable twist of geopolitical drama, the December 2022 prisoner swap involving American basketball star Brittney Griner and notorious Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout has sparked renewed discussions about the complex and often controversial nature of diplomatic negotiations concerning prisoners. The exchange, which saw Griner released from Russian custody following her arrest for cannabis oil possession, raised eyebrows globally as it appeared to place a high-profile athlete's freedom against the backdrop of a notorious figure known as the Merchant of Death. This incident is emblematic of a broader trend in international relations where prisoner swaps are becoming increasingly common yet remain fraught with ethical and strategic implications. The case of Griner and Bout illuminates the delicate balance that nations must navigate when negotiating such exchanges. As international tensions continue to rise, particularly between Russia and the West, the implications of these swaps extend beyond the individual circumstances of the prisoners involved. Critics argue that such deals can inadvertently legitimize figures involved in serious crimes, raising moral questions about whether the ends justify the means. The swap has drawn sharp criticism from various sectors, with some labeling it one of the most reckless exchanges in recent memory. This dynamic is not new. Throughout history, nations have grappled with the moral and practical ramifications of negotiating with those they consider adversaries. The United States has a long history of such exchanges, often driven by the need to secure the release of its citizens or to assert diplomatic influence. The Griner-Bout case exemplifies how the geopolitical landscape can shift dramatically based on individual negotiations, but it also underscores the potential for backlash and unintended consequences. As nations increasingly resort to prisoner swaps as a diplomatic tool, the reactions from both the public and policymakers will likely shape future negotiations. The implications of these exchanges can be profound, influencing international perceptions and relationships. For instance, countries may feel pressured to engage in their own prisoner exchanges, potentially fostering a cycle of negotiations that could lead to more high-profile figures being freed in return for individuals deemed problematic by other nations. Looking ahead, it is clear that the practice of prisoner swaps will continue to provoke debate and controversy. As geopolitical tensions simmer, particularly in regions marked by conflict, nations will have to carefully evaluate the risks and benefits of such negotiations. The Griner-Bout exchange serves as a stark reminder of the complexities involved in international diplomacy and the lengths to which countries will go to secure the release of their citizens, even when it involves engaging with figures whose actions have had devastating consequences. The future of such exchanges will depend on the evolving dynamics of international relations, making it a topic that warrants ongoing attention and scrutiny. As the seasonal clock ticks toward spring, discussions surrounding daylight saving time (DST) are heating up once again. This year, the conversation is particularly lively in Nevada, where lawmakers are pushing to end the twice-yearly clock changes that have long stirred public discontent. With bipartisan support, the proposed Lock the Clock Act could pave the way for Nevada to permanently observe standard time, joining the ranks of Arizona and Hawaii in opting out of daylight saving time altogether. Nevada Assembly member Selena LaRue Hatch, a Democrat from Reno, is at the forefront of this legislative effort. During a recent committee hearing, she emphasized the need for immediate action, stating, "While I hope the federal government sees that this policy needs to be changed, we can't wait for them. We need to enact something immediately for our constituents and hope that the federal government sees our example and catches up." The proposed legislation is set to take effect on January 1, 2026, should it pass. The push to abolish DST is not new. Nevada legislators have attempted to eliminate the time change in previous sessions, but these efforts have consistently faltered. This time, however, the momentum seems to be building, fueled by widespread public dissatisfaction. A 2021 survey by the APNORC Center for Public Affairs Research revealed that 75% of Americans oppose the clock changes, although opinions diverge on whether to adopt permanent standard time or daylight saving time year-round. While 43% favor standard time, 32% prefer daylight saving time as the permanent choice. The debate is complex. with advocates for permanent daylight saving time arguing that it could reduce seasonal depression and enhance economic activity by allowing for more daylight in the evenings. Opponents, however, warn that this could lead to darker mornings, posing risks for drivers and schoolchildren alike. State Senator Robin Titus, a Republican from Wellington, argues that the health ramifications of clock changes are significant. Studies have shown an increase in car accidents when clocks change, and there are multiple health benefits to moving to standard time, she said. The negative impacts of daylight saving time on health are well documented. Research indicates that the Monday following the start of DST sees a spike in heart attacks, while a subsequent study noted a 21% drop in heart attack occurrences the day after reverting to standard time in the fall. Advocacy groups such as Save Standard Time argue that standard time aligns more closely with our natural circadian rhythms, promoting better health outcomes. Despite the bipartisan support for eliminating DST at the state level, the path forward remains fraught with challenges. The Uniform Time Act of 1966 restricts states from permanently establishing daylight saving time. Any such change requires federal legislation. Previous attempts to enact permanent DST, such as the Sunshine Protection Act, have stalled in Congress, often overshadowed by more pressing national issues. As states grapple with the complexities of timekeeping, Nevada's legislative efforts could serve as a bellwether for broader national change. With 31 states currently considering similar bills, the conversation around daylight saving time is far from over. Whether Nevada's initiative will succeed remains to be seen. But it reflects a growing recognition that the traditional practice may no longer align with the needs and preferences of modern society. As the clock approaches the next time change on March 9, 2025, many will be watching Nevada closely. The outcome of the Lock the Clock Act could not only reshape how Nevadans experience time but also influence the national dialogue on a practice many have deemed outdated. In a world increasingly focused on health and well-being, the quest for a stable and sensible timekeeping standard may finally be gaining the traction it deserves. In a notable intersection of academia and popular media, Ohio Wesleyan University professor Eric Gangloff and his dedicated team of students have garnered recognition in the latest edition of National Geographic. Featured prominently in journalist Olivia Young's article, 10 lizards were smuggled into Cincinnati in a sock. Now there are tens of thousands. Gangloff's research sheds light on the surprising proliferation of the common wall lizard in urban Ohio, particularly in cities like Columbus and Cincinnati. Gangloff, who joined Ohio Wesleyan in 2019, has made significant strides in herpetological research, with his work already appearing in esteemed journals such as the Journal of Thermal Biology and Journal of Experimental Biology. This latest accolade from National Geographic broadens his audience significantly, reaching millions of readers who tune into the magazine's insights on wildlife and ecological issues. It's really fantastic to see the scientific research of our amazing students highlighted in such a wide-reaching outlet, Gangloff remarked, expressing pride in his students' accomplishments and the broader implications of their work on human impact on ecosystems. The common wall lizard, originally smuggled into the United States by a child in 1951 after a trip to Italy, has since adapted remarkably well to its new surroundings. Gangloff and his student group, aptly named the Lizard League, are investigating how these reptiles have thrived despite environmental challenges. One of their notable findings indicates that the lizards exhibit resilience to lead toxicity, raising intriguing questions about potential implications for human health. As Junior Emma Foster, a neuroscience major involved in the research, noted, if the lizards are more resilient to heavy metal exposure, then how could that translate into a drug for humans? That's very far in the future, but thinking broadly, that is where this kind of research could go. The Lizard League's work exemplifies the kind of interdisciplinary learning and hands-on research that Ohio Wesleyan University promotes through its OWU Connection program, which encourages students to engage with real-world issues across various fields of study. Founded in 1842, Ohio Wesleyan is recognized as one of the nation's leading liberal arts universities, offering a diverse array of undergraduate majors and a commitment to experiential learning. As Gangloff continues to lead his students in groundbreaking research, the future looks promising for both the Lizard League and the broader scientific community. Their findings not only contribute to our understanding of ecological resilience but also highlight the vital role that young researchers play in addressing pressing environmental challenges. With ongoing support from initiatives like the National Science Foundation, Gangloff and his students are poised to make even more significant contributions to biology and conservation, setting a precedent for the next generation of scientists. As public interest in ecological issues grows and more researchers enter the field, the story of the common wall lizard in Ohio serves as a reminder of the unexpected ways that species can adapt and thrive in urban environments, ultimately leading to deeper conversations about biodiversity conservation and our shared responsibility to protect the planet. The insights from the Lizard League not only highlight the dynamic interplay between species and their environments but also inspire future research that could have far-reaching implications for both wildlife and human health. In a striking development for the American education landscape, reports have surfaced indicating that President Donald Trump may soon sign an executive order aimed at closing the Department of Education. This move, long championed by Trump and his Republican allies as a way to dismantle what they see as bureaucratic overreach, has sparked intense debate about the implications for federal education policy and funding. According to multiple sources, including the Wall Street Journal, the draft order directs newly appointed Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Education Department, with a focus on returning its primary responsibilities to the states. This directive aligns with a long-standing Republican critique that the federal government should play a diminished role in education, allowing states to have greater control over public education programs and funding. McMahon, who recently took office, has already communicated her intent to streamline operations at the department, which she described as having a federal bureaucratic hold on education. In a message to staff, she referred to the elimination of what she termed bureaucratic bloat as a momentous final mission. The ramifications of such a closure would be significant, affecting staff budgets and the overall structure of educational governance in the U.S. While the order could be signed imminently, potentially as soon as Thursday, legal experts caution that shuttering the Department of Education may not be straightforward. Established by statute during President Jimmy Carter's administration in 1979, the department's dissolution would likely require congressional approval. McMahon herself acknowledged during her confirmation hearing that dismantling the agency would necessitate legislative action, presenting a formidable hurdle given the current Democratic majority in the Senate. The Department of Education plays a crucial role in U.S. education, accounting for approximately 10% of public school funding. It also manages federal student loans and enforces civil rights laws in education. The agency's closure raises pressing questions about the future of federal assistance programs, including Title I funding for low-income schools and the oversight of federal student loans, which amount to a staggering $1.6 trillion. Some conservatives have proposed relocating the student loan program to the Treasury Department, a shift that would also require congressional approval. In addition to the potential financial upheaval, critics of the proposed closure have voiced their concerns about its legality and the implications for educational equity. Democratic leaders have warned that dismantling the department could jeopardize thousands of jobs and billions in federal funding, particularly for underserved communities. The American Federation of Teachers has vowed to oppose the administration's efforts, emphasizing the federal government's obligation to provide support for public education. Trump's rhetoric surrounding the Department of Education has been consistently critical. He has referred to it as a big con job and has promised to drain the education swamp. During a campaign rally, he pledged to end what he perceives as the misuse of taxpayer dollars in education, suggesting a strong ideological underpinning to these proposed changes. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the fate of the Department of Education remains uncertain. While the administration's intention to close the agency reflects a significant shift in educational policy, the need for congressional consensus presents a formidable obstacle. As stakeholders from all sides brace for potential changes, the coming weeks will be pivotal in determining the future of education governance in the United States. The implications of these actions will undoubtedly reverberate across the educational system, potentially reshaping the landscape for years to come. In a world where celebrity fortunes and game show secrets often capture the public's attention, a diverse array of stories has emerged recently that reflect both the personal and operational intricacies at play in contemporary entertainment and finance. From revelations about beloved television figures to insights into the financial strategies of sports legends, these stories not only entertain but also provoke thought about the underlying factors that drive success in various arenas. Recently, Vanna White, the iconic co-host of Wheel of Fortune, shared an unexpected truth about her filming schedule that left fans astonished. During an appearance on Elvis Duran's radio show, White disclosed that she only films about 34 days a year while managing to tape 6 episodes a day. The revelation sparked a flurry of reactions from fans, many of whom were taken aback by the efficiency behind the long-running game show's production. "What an icon!" Raising hands, one fan exclaimed, while another humorously suggested that White's ample time off contributes to her enduring beauty. Adding to the intrigue, White revealed that she has never worn the same outfit twice during filming, underscoring the meticulous planning that goes into her appearances. As the show continues to air new episodes, this glimpse into the behind-the-scenes dynamics not only captivates viewers but also reaffirms the importance of personal branding in television. In a different realm, basketball superstar Shaquille O'Neal has made headlines by transforming his post-NBA career into a lucrative business venture guided by advice from tech mogul Jeff Bezos. O'Neal adopted a strategic investment philosophy that emphasizes backing ventures capable of changing people's lives. This approach has reportedly quadrupled his wealth with successful investments in companies like Google and Ring. However, O'Neal's journey has not been without missteps. He candidly reflected on his decision to pass on a partnership with Starbucks, attributing it to a misguided perception of coffee consumption among African Americans. Such insights highlight the challenges even the most astute investors face and serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of informed decision-making in business. Meanwhile, a controversial initiative spearheaded by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE) has raised eyebrows among federal employees. The department recently implemented a drastic measure, slapping a $1 limit on federal credit cards used for routine purchases. This move has reportedly hampered workers' ability to procure essential supplies, from lab equipment to travel expenses. One employee lamented the chaos caused by this restriction, noting that divisions are resorting to bartering for necessary items. Critics have voiced concerns over the potential disruption of government functions, emphasizing that these cards are vital for performing essential duties. The ramifications of this policy continue to unfold, prompting discussions about the balance between fiscal responsibility and operational efficiency within government agencies. As these stories reveal, the intersection of entertainment, finance, and government operations is rich with complexity and intrigue. Celebrities and public figures navigate their unique challenges while influencing broader societal trends. Looking ahead, it will be fascinating to observe how these narratives evolve and what new developments will capture the public's imagination in the ever-changing landscape of celebrity culture and governmental policy. In a landscape increasingly shaped by international trade tensions, Foot Locker has emerged somewhat unscathed from the latest wave of U.S. tariffs, according to recent statements from company executives. The sports retailer, which relies heavily on Chinese imports, reported limited direct exposure to the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, with CFO Mike Bohn clarifying that while Chinese goods constitute roughly half of the retailer's private label business, they represent only a low single-digit percentage of total sales. This revelation comes on the heels of a robust fourth-quarter performance that exceeded Wall Street expectations, providing a silver lining amid the turbulent economic climate. CEO Mary Dillon acknowledged the complexities of the evolving trade situation, emphasizing that while tariffs could influence costs and pricing across various product categories, the company remains vigilant and responsive to consumer sentiment. It's a rapidly evolving situation and it's on consumers' minds, Dillon remarked, suggesting that Foot Locker's proactive monitoring of the tariffs will be crucial as the retail landscape continues to shift. However, the new tariffs, particularly the 25% duties on goods from Canada and Mexico alongside a 10% levy on imports from China, pose a significant concern for the shoe retail sector, with China being a primary supplier of footwear to U.S. companies. Recent reports from the Wall Street Journal have highlighted the precarious position of companies like Foot Locker, which could face rising operational costs as a result of these tariffs. In addition to tariff-related concerns, Foot Locker is grappling with challenges stemming from its relationship with Nike, its largest brand partner. As reported by CNBC, the sneaker industry is bracing for a year filled with deep discounts as Nike attempts to clear excess inventory through markdowns. Dillon, attempting to instill confidence, referred to the partnership with Nike as strong and fully reset, while acknowledging that promotional pressures are still impacting profit margins. Throughout this process, we continue to align closely with them to optimize our merchandise mix and inventory levels, stated Frank Bracken, Foot Locker's EVP and Chief Commercial Officer. This ongoing alignment is critical as both companies work to restore the appeal of key consumer franchises such as the Air Force One and Dunk lines. On the broader economic front, the implications of President Trump's tariff policies are reverberating across various sectors. Recent updates indicate that the administration has paused tariffs on certain Mexican imports until early April, following discussions with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. This temporary reprieve aims to ease tensions stemming from trade negotiations around the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement (USMCA). Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has suggested that U.S. tariffs may be reconsidered, particularly concerning goods compliant with the USMCA. However, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau remains steadfast in his government's efforts to resist U.S. tariffs, asserting that Canada will not back down from its retaliatory measures until the unjustified American tariffs are lifted. As businesses and investors navigate this uncertain landscape, concerns about rising costs and market volatility are at the forefront. A recent report from the Federal Reserve indicated widespread anxiety among business leaders regarding the long-term impacts of tariffs on profitability and pricing strategies. Many contacts reported difficulty setting prices and noted ambiguity around costs, largely as a result of uncertain international trade policy. The report stated, as Foot Locker and other retailers adapt to these challenges, the spotlight remains on the ongoing trade negotiations and their eventual outcomes. The future of tariffs, pricing strategies, and international trade relations will be pivotal in shaping the retail landscape and may determine the trajectory of companies like Foot Locker in the months ahead. The volatile interplay between trade policies and consumer sentiment underscores the critical importance of strategic adaptability in an ever-changing economic environment. In an increasingly competitive landscape for scientific innovation, the National Institutes of Health (NIH) faces daunting challenges that could undermine America's standing as a leader in research and development. Recent reports highlight the potential ramifications of chaotic funding cuts that threaten not only the future of biomedical research but also the well-being of American families who rely on advancements in healthcare. The NIH, known for its pivotal role in supporting medical research, is navigating through a tumultuous political climate. These proposed budget cuts come at a time when the nation grapples with the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, a crisis that underscored the importance of robust research funding. As NIH Director nominee Dr. Jay Bhattacharya prepares for his Senate confirmation hearing, the stakes have never been higher. Bhattacharya, a prominent figure in the public health realm, has publicly stressed the necessity of adequate funding, stating, "Investment in health research is not merely an expenditure, it is a commitment to the future of our society." The implications of reduced funding are profound. A report from the Minnesota Reformer suggests that cuts could stall critical research efforts, hindering the development of new treatments and technologies. This could lead to longer wait times for medical breakthroughs, increased healthcare costs, and ultimately a decline in public health. The NIH's strategic role in fostering innovation through grants to researchers across the country means that any disruption in funding could reverberate throughout the broader healthcare ecosystem. Moreover, the potential loss of NIH funding could stifle the United States' competitive edge in global science and innovation. The NIH has historically been a cornerstone for groundbreaking discoveries from cancer therapies to advances in mental health treatment. As countries like China and India ramp up their investments in research, the U.S. risks falling behind in the global race for scientific leadership. A recent study indicated that the U.S. accounts for only 28% of global research and development investment, down from 44% 2 decades ago. This trend raises concerns about America's ability to attract and retain top-tier scientific talent. In parallel, the SETI Institute has been making strides in the search for extraterrestrial life, an area that represents the frontier of scientific inquiry. Recent developments at the Institute include a study led by Dr. Sophia Sheikh, which explored how alien civilizations might detect Earth through our radio signals and atmospheric pollution. This research enhances our understanding of both cosmic phenomena and the technologies that may one day enable interstellar communication. Dr. Sheikh's findings, published in the Astronomical Journal, suggest that powerful radio signals could be detected by alien civilizations up to 12,000 light-years away, a significant revelation that underscores the interconnectedness of technological advancement and fundamental scientific exploration. Furthermore, the recent discovery of a new species of cavefish in China exemplifies the ongoing evolution of life on Earth and highlights the importance of biodiversity in understanding our planet's ecological systems. This golden scaleless fish, named the Xingren golden-lined fish, demonstrates evolutionary adaptation as it thrives in a cave environment where traditional senses like sight are less useful. This finding not only contributes to our knowledge of evolution but also emphasizes the critical role of environmental conservation in preserving unique species that may hold keys to understanding life itself. As these narratives unfold, the intersection of funding, innovation, and discovery becomes increasingly apparent. The NIH challenges highlight the urgent need for a renewed commitment to scientific research and public health funding, while the achievements of institutions like the SETI Institute remind us of the boundless possibilities that lie ahead in our quest for knowledge. The future of American leadership in science hangs in the balance dependent on the choices made today regarding investment in research and innovation. As stakeholders from various sectors continue to advocate for robust funding, the hope is that America will reaffirm its commitment to being at the forefront of scientific exploration, ultimately benefiting not just the nation but the global community. In a significant advancement for optoelectronic materials, researchers have unveiled a novel approach to optimize the luminescent properties of halide perovskites, crucial components in next-generation display technologies. The study, published in Nature Reviews Chemistry by Xinhao Zhang, Yukuan and Panyugo, emphasizes the importance of defect engineering, an innovative technique that involves the deliberate introduction and manipulation of defects within materials to enhance their performance. At the core of the study is the relationship between the bandgap of luminescent materials and their emission wavelength, which determines their color and by extension their applicability in various devices. By tuning the bandgap of halide perovskites, researchers aim to expand the color spectrum available for light emission, thereby broadening their potential applications in optoelectronics. Despite the promise of defect engineering, the authors note that achieving high-quality halide-doped perovskites with a wide optical bandgap has remained a formidable challenge. To tackle this issue, the research team developed a methodology using perovskite precursor solutions that incorporated essential halide salts such as PbBr2 and PbCl2. These were then spin-coated onto conductive substrates to form perovskite films. The innovative aspect of their approach lies in the post-treatment process, where butylammonium halides were applied to facilitate halide exchanges. Utilizing chloroform as an anti-solvent, the researchers ensured that the photophysical properties of the perovskite films remained largely unaffected while promoting efficient ion exchange. The halogen exchange process, likened to an SN2 reaction mechanism, begins with Cl ions adsorbing onto the lattice. This interaction leads to local lattice distortions that enable the halogen exchange, ultimately resulting in doped halide perovskite crystals with an expanded bandgap. Such advancements could pave the way for more efficient and vibrant display technologies, enhancing user experiences across various electronic devices. The significance of this research cannot be overstated. As the demand for high-performance optoelectronic devices increases, the ability to engineer materials with tailored properties will be critical. The findings from Zhang and his colleagues may serve as a pivotal step towards realizing more sustainable and effective display technologies, which could also have implications in other fields such as telecommunications and lighting. Looking ahead, the researchers are optimistic about the potential of their approach and its scalability for industrial applications. As the technology matures, we may see a new era of displays characterized by improved color fidelity and energy efficiency, fundamentally changing how we interact with electronic devices. Recent research underscores the increasingly critical relationship between executive compensation and employee behavior, particularly in the context of whistleblowing. As the chasm between CEO pay and average worker salaries continues to widen, a new study reveals that employees are more likely to report unethical practices when they perceive their leaders as overcompensated. This phenomenon raises important questions about corporate governance, employee loyalty, and organizational ethics. Since 1978, CEO compensation has skyrocketed by an astonishing 1,460%, while the average worker's salary has only seen a modest increase of 18.1%. In 2021, the average CEO of a major U.S. firm earned about $27.8 million, a stark contrast to the stagnating wages of the workforce. This disparity breeds feelings of injustice among employees, which can adversely affect morale and loyalty. The recent findings published in the Strategic Management Journal by researchers Riki Takeuchi, Tsueli Qianyil, and Lu and Junfeng Wu highlight that these feelings can drive employees to whistleblow on organizational wrongdoing, particularly in environments where they perceive unfair treatment towards both themselves and external stakeholders. The researchers conducted 2 comprehensive studies to investigate the relationship between executive pay disparity and whistleblowing behavior. They found a direct correlation. As the disparity in pay grew, so did the likelihood of employees reporting issues, especially when they felt secure in their ability to find new employment. For instance, in one experimental study involving 247 full-time employees, a significant pay gap between CEOs and employees led to an increased willingness to report health-related safety issues to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration (OSHA). Furthermore, the study examined how firms' treatment of external stakeholders, such as customers, communities, and the environment, impacts employee loyalty and their propensity to whistleblow. Companies that prioritized external stakeholder relations at the expense of their employees often generated feelings of unfairness, further eroding loyalty. The research indicated that employees are more inclined to report wrongdoing when they feel a lack of balance in how their organization treats both internal and external stakeholders. The implications of these findings are profound for corporate leaders, boards, and policymakers. CEOs and executives are urged to reconsider their compensation structures and the broader stakeholder treatment strategies. Acknowledging the adverse effects of excessive pay gaps and inequitable treatment can not only mitigate whistleblowing incidents but also enhance the overall organizational climate. As the researchers suggest, fostering a fair treatment culture can create a virtuous cycle, wherein engaged employees are likely to contribute positively to the company's success. For boards of directors, the message is clear: prioritizing employee well-being and ensuring accountability for executive compensation is vital. They must safeguard against creating environments where employees feel compelled to report their company's failings due to perceived injustices. Policymakers also have a role to play in addressing these disparities. Implementing effective tax policies that discourage excessive executive pay while incentivizing fair treatment of employees could be one strategic approach to mitigate the negative impacts of income inequality within companies. As companies increasingly navigate the complexities of executive compensation and employee relations, the findings from this research highlight a crucial area for improvement. By addressing pay disparities and fostering a culture of fairness, organizations not only protect their reputations but also enhance their long-term viability. Looking ahead, companies that strategically balance the interests of all stakeholders, executives, employees, and the community, are likely to thrive in an ever-evolving business landscape. The call for action is clear. Equitable treatment is not just an ethical imperative but a strategic necessity for sustainable success. Elon Musk's recent overhaul of federal spending practices has triggered significant disruptions within the government, particularly affecting essential tasks performed by federal employees. As part of his leadership at the newly established Department of Government Efficiency, Musk has implemented stringent cost-cutting measures, including a drastic reduction in spending limits on government credit cards. Reports reveal that many of these cards have been limited to just $1, effectively freezing the purchasing power of federal workers who rely on these tools to conduct routine business operations. This unprecedented move has left some employees struggling to fulfill their job responsibilities, with reports of divisions resorting to bartering among themselves to obtain necessary supplies. For instance, a worker at the Environmental Protection Agency relayed their inability to purchase vital laboratory materials such as liquid nitrogen, which is essential for the preservation of environmental samples. Divisions are resorting to bartering with each other to obtain needed items, the employee noted, highlighting the chaotic environment that has emerged as a result of these financial restrictions. The impact of these changes is being felt across various departments. Federal employees, including those at the Social Security Administration, have reported being unable to create necessary shipping labels, while Treasury Department lawyers face temporary loss of access to PACER, the electronic filing system vital for monitoring federal court cases. One employee from the Food and Drug Administration described a situation where their request for pipette tips, a fundamental lab supply, was put on hold, forcing them to seek assistance from colleagues in other offices. The sweeping credit card limitations stem from an executive order issued by former President Trump that mandated most agency credit cards be treated as frozen for a period of 30 days, with notable exceptions for disaster relief and specific law enforcement functions. According to the General Services Administration (GSA), approximately 24,000 credit cards have been deactivated, and the new policy is framed as a necessary risk mitigation strategy. GSA set a $1 limit on all cardholder accounts, their blog post stated, emphasizing the implementation of a review process to permit mission-critical purchases. Jessica Childress, a former Department of Justice lawyer and founder of the Childress firm, expressed concern about the ramifications of these restrictions. It's going to put a complete halt on essential functions that the government has to complete if there is no card that a government employee can use to pay for travel that's part of their jobs, she warned. Her comments underscore the critical role these credit cards play in ensuring governmental operations run smoothly, particularly for employees who have taken oaths to serve public interests. The situation has raised questions about the efficiency of government operations under the current leadership. While Musk's initiatives at DOGE may be aimed at reducing waste and improving accountability, the immediate consequences for federal workers suggest a disarray that could hinder essential government functions. As employees grapple with the limitations imposed, the broader implications of these changes on public service delivery remain to be seen. Looking ahead, the future of government efficiency under Musk's vision will likely continue to attract scrutiny. The delicate balance between cost-cutting measures and maintaining operational effectiveness poses a significant challenge. As federal workers navigate this new landscape, the ongoing discourse surrounding government reform will be pivotal in shaping the trajectory of public service in the coming months. In a strikingly turbulent political landscape, U.S. President Donald Trump's recent economic strategies have sparked both intrigue and concern. Since reclaiming the presidency, Trump has initiated a series of bold and controversial policy shifts, including aggressive territorial claims and a sweeping trade offensive against traditional allies.
His administration's approach has raised questions about the effectiveness and long-term consequences of using economic coercion as a tool for strengthening U.S. influence globally.
Among Trump's most audacious declarations is the suggestion that Canada should become the 51st state of the U.S., a statement he made on Truth Social, asserting that such a move would yield lower taxes and enhanced military protection. This sentiment has been echoed in his trade policies, which have expanded beyond adversarial nations like China to include both Canada and Mexico, America's two largest trading partners. The backlash has been immediate, with commentators labeling his threats, such as imposing 25% tariffs, as the dumbest trade war in history. However, the historical context behind Trump's tactics suggests that the efficacy of economic coercion against allies rather than enemies might be more nuanced than it seems. Historically, economic pressure has often been more effective when wielded against allies. Trump's predecessors understood this dynamic well. During the Cold War, the U.S. regularly applied economic leverage against allied nations to align their policies with American interests. This strategy hinges on the vulnerability of allied nations that are heavily dependent on U.S. trade and security. As Nicholas Mulder, an assistant professor of history at Cornell University, notes, Trump's approach reflects a crude yet instinctual understanding of bilateral negotiations, particularly against nations that might hold a weaker economic hand. While the short-term impacts of this strategy may appear beneficial to U.S. interests, the longer-term implications could be detrimental. As the global economic landscape shifts towards a more protectionist and multipolar order, the effectiveness of America's economic dominance is increasingly called into question. Countries such as Canada and Mexico may still yield to U.S. pressure. However, nations in Eurasia are exploring alternatives, particularly the burgeoning Chinese supply chains, which could reduce their reliance on the U.S. Furthermore, the paradox of economic pressure reveals that countries with deep ties to the U.S. are more likely to concede to coercion. Conversely, nations that do not anticipate or desire a better relationship with the U.S. may endure significant economic costs rather than capitulate to American demands. This trend has been evident in the failures of U.S. sanctions against adversaries like Russia and China, where economic measures have not produced the desired political concessions. In stark contrast, Trump's previous successes in pressuring allies, such as the renegotiation of NAFTA to USMCA, illustrate the complex interplay of power dynamics among allies. The inherent risk in Trump's current tactics lies in potential overreach. While economic coercion may yield short-term victories, it can provoke long-term consequences that undermine U.S. global standing. As the U.S. economy becomes less reliant on trade, now comprising only 24% of GDP compared to 73% for Canada and 67% for Mexico, the balance of power may tilt in favor of nations seeking to diversify their economic partnerships. The growth of regional trade networks and the increasing relevance of other global powers, particularly China, suggest that the U.S. could inadvertently accelerate its own decline in influence. In summary, while Trump's aggressive economic strategies may bear immediate fruit in reinforcing U.S. dominance over allies, they also risk alienating those partners in the long run. As nations explore alternatives to American economic hegemony, the implications for U.S. foreign policy could be profound. The unfolding narrative may serve as a cautionary tale about the limits of economic coercion and the importance of fostering cooperative relationships in an increasingly interconnected world. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, the effectiveness of Trump's economic weapon will be tested against the backdrop of a shifting global order with the potential to reshape alliances for years to come. In a groundbreaking development that could reshape our approach to nuclear security, researchers at the University of Maryland have successfully demonstrated a method for detecting radioactive materials from a distance using infrared laser pulses. This innovative technique marks a significant advancement over traditional detection methods, which rely on capturing particles emitted during radioactive decay. Conventional approaches typically allow for detection only from distances of up to tens of meters. However, the laser-based method has the potential to extend this range considerably. Howard Milchberg, a prominent physicist at the university, and his team conducted a series of tests revealing that when infrared laser pulses are directed at radioactive materials, the scattered light can be analyzed to reveal the presence of these materials. This method not only enhances the distance from which detection can occur but also improves the specificity of identifying various radioactive isotopes, which is crucial for applications ranging from national security to environmental monitoring. The implications of this research are profound, particularly in the context of global efforts to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. By enabling remote detection, it offers a tool for monitoring areas that may harbor illicit nuclear materials without the need for intrusive inspections or on-site presence. As the threat of nuclear proliferation remains a pressing concern, technologies like this could play a vital role in enhancing international security measures. This advancement comes at a time when the need for innovative solutions to complex global challenges is paramount. The ability to detect radioactive materials remotely could also aid in response efforts to nuclear accidents or terrorist threats, making it an invaluable addition to the arsenal of tools used by security agencies worldwide. As researchers continue to refine this technology, the hope is that it will lead to the development of portable detection systems that can be deployed in various environments, from urban settings to remote areas. The potential to integrate this technology with existing surveillance systems could further enhance safety and security protocols, allowing for a proactive rather than reactive approach to nuclear monitoring. Looking ahead, the future of this laser detection technology holds promise not only for national security but also for broader applications in environmental science and public health. As the scientific community explores the full range of capabilities offered by this innovative method, it stands to revolutionize how we detect and respond to the challenges posed by radioactive materials.